First up, Cheap Shot. Rogue common, 2 mana spell, Echo, deal 2 damage to a minion. 2 comparisons can be made with this card. The first one we'll focus on is with Hunting Mastiff. These 2 cards are very similar, dealing damage to minions specifically. There are 2 main differences, the first being that Hunter Mastiff cannot bypass taunts, while Cheap Shot can. Point for Cheap Shot. The second is that Hunting Mastiff has beast and minion synergies, which makes it better for Hunter, while this card has spell synergies, which makes it not bad in rogue decks. Point for the Mastiff, but just barely. So all in all, just about even in terms of quality. Another card to compare to this would be Forbidden Flame. This card offers more options in terms of targets, but less options in terms of cost to invest. Odd cost options don't work for Cheap Shot, but it can deal 2 damage to multiple opponents. To that end, these cards would be equal, except for the spell synergies. Gadgetzan Auctioneer can make decent use of Cheap Shot, for example, while Forbidden Flame could never get that type of bonus. So overall, this card is a touch better than Forbidden Flame, if you're using it correctly. Many poor ways to play it, some better than others, but the flexibility boost gives it relevance. Secondly, we have Sound the Bells. Paladin common, 2 mana spell, Echo, give a minion +1/+2. I'm sensing a theme here with these 2 mana Echo cards. Most of what I have to say about this card you've heard before in my other quick takes. Many sort of poor options together make this card flexible enough to be decent, so I'll just focus on what's different. Firstly, a +1/+2 buff is very good for control. Think of Power Word Shield, for example. Since Echo is also good for control, this card can enable minions to get a lot of stability later in the game. So, good control option. Secondly, this card is likely very powerful with Linessa Sun Sorrow. It's possible Echo doesn't quite work like this, but if you play this card 5 times and Linessa gets buffed 5 times, that is very powerful. Just a note for if someone tries to make this work. So yeah, decent for buff control. We'll see if someone tries to make Galvadon work again. Thirdly, Cursed Castaway. Rogue rare, 6 mana 5/3 pirate, rush, Death Rattle, draw a combo card from your deck. Death Rattle Rush synergy. Rush does hasten the deaths of your minions, and coupled with a 3 health effect, that means that the castaway will either die quickly, or your opponent will consider using silence effects on a 5/1 minion. Either way, this generally boosts the power output of the Death Rattle, increasing the odds of it making a difference. With that in mind, this card can be quite comparable to Starfire, giving a card draw with a chunk of damage. Not much more to say though, this effect is strong enough for some interesting arena shenanigans, but probably won't see many results in constructed play. Next up, Black Hal Gun Turret. Warrior legendary, 7 mana 3/8, can't attack, whenever this takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. A simple word for this card is fascinating. Most high cost minions are a decent threat on the board by themselves, but this one is ignorable. Without the help of other cards such as Whirlwind, Sunfury Protector, or Warpath, this card has nothing and is nothing. So what's this card's best case scenario? Let's compare and contrast with Greater Arcane Missiles. Activate 3 times, that's it. This card, if used with the right cards, can be activated 8 times, dealing a total of 21 damage. That's plenty of anti-tempo or aggression, depending on how the numbers land. This makes it such that this card is a you deal with this now or you're going to die card. But then the process of killing it makes it more powerful, since damaging it activates its effect while also taking up resources for your opponents. So this card is a lot like a 6/8 taunt minion, except with the added bonus of possibly killing your opponent if it stays around. For 7 mana, that's acceptable. If played right, this card can be very valuable in a synergizing deck. Finally, we have our Priest legendaries. I'm so excited! First, Lady in White. 6 mana 5/5, Battlecry, cast Inner Fire on every minion in your deck. 6 mana 5/5s are no stranger to Hearthstone, being just flexible enough to be played and just strong enough in body that they can't just be ignored. So the idea of being able to play this and then play the rest of your deck is definitely feasible, and it has been proven in times past. As for the effect, this card is amazing. Much like Prince Camellias, this card boosts your deck, but instead of being best for a tempo style deck, this card is best for a control style deck. The more your card's health tops their attack, the more of a boost you'll get. Priests already enjoy their high health minions, so having a control deck that takes advantage of this feature is not infeasible, so this card gets high marks. Secondly, and lastly, we have Camellias. 1 mana 1/1 beast, each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a card your opponent is holding. So we've seen this before, and it seems mediocre, right? Wrong. This card has 2 advantages over a typical transforming card. Firstly, your opponent's cards are typically going to be stronger than random ones. This means that, generally speaking, the quality of the cards that Camellias will transform into will be higher, so better plays for you. However, this card does have a weakness that it might transform into cards that you can't play, either because of mana cost or because of combo necessities. However, even without playing this card, it is helping you by providing information about your opponent's hand. This effect is a subtle one and can be underestimated, but basically, the more information you have, the more likely your plays will maximize their power. Take this for example. Camellias transforms into a Spellbreaker. Perhaps then it isn't a turn to play your Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo, unless you can get the kill. Or you can keep careful tab of what cards you've seen and what ones you haven't, to deduce if your opponent has a Spellbreaker, or any other counter card. This information effect isn't something that can be graphed or rated when you get down to it. The simple fact is, this card gets more and more effective the smarter the player that is using it is. That is a fascinating card.